Naomi stared at her phone screen, her coffee growing cold in her trembling hands. The photo was crystal clear: her husband Alexander, dressed in his best navy suit, raising a champagne glass in celebration. Behind him, a lavish garden party unfolded with twinkling lights, elegant floral arrangements, and dozens of smiling faces. The caption read, "Celebrating Emma's engagement. So happy for my sister and her fiancé." But Naomi wasn't in the picture. She wasn't even at the party. 3 days ago, Alexander had kissed her goodbye, claiming he needed to attend a boring work conference in Chicago. "Just corporate stuff, baby. You'd hate it," he had said, his brown eyes meeting hers with what she thought was genuine affection. "I'll be back Sunday night." Now, scrolling through his sister Emma's Instagram, Naomi saw the truth. There was no work conference. There was no Chicago. There was only a beautiful engagement party for his sister, a party she apparently wasn't invited to. The worst part wasn't just the lie. It was how natural Alexander looked in every photo, how genuinely happy he appeared surrounded by his family. His parents were there, beaming with pride. His cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone she had met over their 3 years of marriage. Everyone except her. Naomi's hands shook as she scrolled through more photos. In one, Alexander had his arm around a petite redhead in a flowing green dress. The woman was laughing at something he said, her hand resting comfortably on his chest. They looked intimate, familiar. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She zoomed in on the photo, studying the woman's face. She was beautiful, with bright green eyes and a radiant smile. But more than that, she looked comfortable with Alexander in a way that made Naomi's stomach twist. The woman appeared in several more photos throughout the evening, dancing with Alexander, sitting next to him during the speeches, laughing with his family members as if she belonged there. Naomi set her phone down and stared at the kitchen wall. Their kitchen wall. The one they had painted together last spring, laughing as they got more paint on each other than on the actual surface. The memory felt like it belonged to different people now. She picked up her phone again and called Alexander. It went straight to voicemail. His cheerful voice filled her ear. "Hey, you've reached Alex. Can't get to the phone right now, but leave a message and I'll call you back." "Hi, honey," she said, keeping her voice steady. "Just wanted to check in. Hope the conference is going well. Call me when you get a chance." She hung up and immediately called again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. The photos were time-stamped from last night, Saturday evening. If he was really at a work conference, why was his phone off? Why hadn't he mentioned his sister's engagement? Why had he lied about where he was going? Naomi pulled up Emma's contact information. They had always gotten along well, or so she thought. Emma had been her maid of honor when she married Alexander. They texted regularly, shared recipes, and talked about starting families someday. Her finger hovered over Emma's number. What would she even say? "Hi, Emma. Saw the photos from your engagement party. The one my husband attended while lying to me about being at a work conference." Instead, she opened Emma's Instagram again and looked at every single photo from the party. The more she studied them, the more details she noticed. The redhead wasn't just a random guest, she was clearly important to Alexander's family. In the background of one photo, she could see Alexander's mother hugging the woman warmly. In another photo, the woman was helping Emma with her dress, acting like a sister-in-law might. Naomi's breath caught. Was this woman replacing her? She scrolled back through Emma's older posts, looking for any mention of the engagement party planning. There 3 weeks ago, a post about finalizing the guest list for the big day. The comments were full of family members confirming their attendance. Naomi searched through every comment, looking for her own name. It wasn't there. Her name wasn't mentioned anywhere. Not in the planning posts, not in the excitement leading up to the party, not in the thank you posts afterward. It was as if she didn't exist. But the redhead was tagged in several photos. Rebecca Martinez. Naomi clicked on Rebecca's profile. It was public, filled with photos of her life in Chicago. She was a marketing director at a prestigious firm. She loved hiking, wine tasting, and cooking. She had a beautiful apartment with exposed brick walls and large windows. And scattered throughout her recent posts were photos with Alexander. The two of them at restaurants, at concerts, at a farmer's market, sharing a cup of coffee and laughing. The photos went back months. In some, they were clearly just friends. But in the more recent ones, their body language had shifted. They stood closer together. His hand rested on her back. She leaned into him when they laughed. The most recent photo, posted just 2 days ago, showed them at what looked like a cozy dinner. The caption read, "Amazing night with this incredible man. Sometimes the best things happen when you least expect them." Naomi's vision blurred. She ran to the bathroom and threw up, her body rejecting the coffee and the reality of what she was seeing. When she finally looked up from the toilet, she caught sight of herself in the mirror. Her dark skin had taken on an ashen tone. Her usually bright brown eyes were red-rimmed and hollow. Her natural hair, which she had been growing out for 2 years, was pulled back in a messy bun. She looked like a woman who had just discovered her life was a lie. Because that's exactly what she was. The woman in the photos Rebecca was living the life Naomi thought she had. She was the one Alexander brought to family events. She was the one who met his colleagues at work dinners. She was the one who existed in his real world. Naomi was apparently just the woman he came home to at night. She splashed cold water on her face and walked back to the kitchen. Her phone buzzed with a text from Alexander. Conference running late. Won't be home until Monday morning. Love you. She stared at the message, her hands shaking with rage instead of hurt now. Love you. The words felt like poison. She texted back, okay. Have a good time. Then she opened her laptop and began to research. If Alexander thought he could live a double life, if he thought he could make her invisible while parading another woman around as his girlfriend, he was about to learn exactly what his wife was capable of. Naomi had always been too trusting, too accommodating. She had believed his explanations when he missed dinner with her friends. She had accepted his excuses when he couldn't attend her work events. She had let him convince her that his family was difficult, and that it was better if she didn't come to every gathering. Now she understood. His family wasn't difficult. They just didn't know she existed as anything more than a temporary inconvenience. But that was about to change. As she began making a list of everything she needed to find out, Naomi felt something she hadn't experienced in years: determination. Not the gentle, accommodating kind she usually showed, but something fierce and uncompromising. Alexander had made his choice. Now she would make hers. And he was going to regret ever underestimating her. Naomi didn't sleep that night. Instead, she sat at her kitchen table with her laptop, 3 cups of coffee, and a growing pile of evidence that her marriage was built on deception. She started with Alexander's social media accounts. His Instagram was carefully curated, mostly photos of food, his workouts, and scenic views from his business trips. But now she noticed what wasn't there. No photos of her from the past 6 months. No anniversary posts. No casual couple shots that most married people shared. Looking back further, she found their wedding photos from 3 years ago. The comments were full of congratulations from his family and friends. But sometime in the past year, several of those comments had been deleted. His sister Emma's comment about being so happy to welcome Naomi to the family was gone. His mother's comment about gaining such a wonderful daughter-in-law had vanished. Someone had been systematically erasing her from his digital life. Next, she checked his Facebook. He had changed his relationship status from married to it's complicated 8 months ago. 8 months. How had she missed that? Because she rarely checked Facebook anymore. Because she trusted him. Because she had been living in a bubble of false security while he dismantled their life piece by piece. She opened their shared bank account and felt the blood drain from her face. Alexander had been moving money. Large amounts. Over the past year, he had transferred nearly $30,000 from their joint savings into an account she didn't recognize. Her hands trembled as she called the bank's customer service line. After verifying her identity, the representative confirmed her worst fears. Mrs. Johnson, I show that your husband opened a personal account with us 14 months ago. The account is in his name only. Can you tell me the balance? I'm sorry, but since you're not listed on that account, I can't provide that information. Naomi hung up and stared at her laptop screen. 14 months ago. That was around the time he had started working late more often. Around the time he had stopped wanting to spend weekends with her friends. Around the time he had begun building his exit strategy. She pulled up his email. They shared a computer, so she knew his password. What she found made her stomach turn. Hundreds of emails to and from Rebecca Martinez. The early ones were work-related, they were colleagues at the same marketing firm. But gradually the tone shifted. Professional exchanges became personal conversations. Personal conversations became flirtatious messages. Flirtatious messages became plans to meet. And then, 6 months ago, the emails became love letters. Rebecca, one email read, I can't stop thinking about last night. You make me feel like myself again. Like the man I used to be before I got trapped in this situation. Trap. He called their marriage a trap. Another email from 3 months ago, I told Emma about us. She's so excited to meet you properly. She said you're exactly what I need, someone who understands me. Someone who fits into my life the way it's supposed to be. Naomi's chest tightened. Emma knew. His sister knew about Rebecca while Naomi was still planning Christmas dinner for the family, still buying birthday gifts for his nieces and nephews, still believing she was part of their lives. The most recent email, sent yesterday morning, made her want to scream, "Baby, I can't wait to get home to you tomorrow. This weekend with my family was perfect. They love you so much. Emma keeps saying you're the sister she always wanted. I think it's time we made this official. I'll talk to my lawyer next week." His lawyer. He was planning to divorce her while she made his breakfast and did his laundry and supported his career development by working extra hours to pay for his graduate school applications. She had been funding her own abandonment. Naomi printed out the emails. All of them. Then she went through his texts. More evidence of his double life, more proof that she had been reduced to an inconvenience he was preparing to discard. But the worst discovery came when she found his hidden folder of photos on the computer. Pictures of him and Rebecca at restaurants Naomi had never been to. Photos of them at his company's holiday party, the one he had told her was employees only. Images of them at his cousin's wedding last month, the wedding he had said was too small to include spouses. In every photo, Rebecca was wearing something Naomi recognized. A necklace Alexander had given her for her birthday. A silk scarf he had claimed was from his business trip to Seattle. A pair of diamond earrings he had said were on sale at the jewelry store. He had been giving her gifts meant for another woman. Gifts he had probably bought with money from their joint account. Naomi's phone buzzed. A text from Alexander, "Missing you, beautiful. Can't wait to see you tomorrow." She stared at the message, wondering if he had sent the same text to Rebecca. Wondering if he was lying next to Rebecca right now, typing fake love messages to the wife he was planning to divorce. Her phone rang. Emma's name appeared on the screen. For a moment, Naomi considered letting it go to voicemail. But she needed to know how deep this deception ran. "Hi Emma," she said, keeping her voice steady. "Naomi. Oh my God, I'm so sorry I missed your call earlier. I was going to call you back, but then I got caught up in thank you cards from the party. Did Alexander tell you how amazing it was?" The casual cruelty of the question took Naomi's breath away. "He mentioned it was nice." "Nice?" "Was incredible. And Rebecca was such a hit with everyone. Mom absolutely adores her. She kept saying how perfect she and Alex are together. And honestly, I've never seen him so happy. It's like he's finally found his person, you know?" Naomi closed her eyes. "His person. Oh, I hope you don't mind me gushing. I know you and Alex have been going through a rough patch, but I really think Rebecca is going to be good for him. She brings out the best in him." "A rough patch?" "Well, yeah. Alex told us about the separation. How you guys are figuring things out. I think it's so mature of you both to take some time apart to work on yourselves." "Separation." Alexander had told his family they were separated. "When did he tell you about the separation?" Naomi asked. "Oh, months ago. Maybe around Christmas? He said you both realized you wanted different things and decided to take a break. I was sad because I really liked you, but I understood. Sometimes people just aren't compatible long term." Christmas. She had hosted Christmas dinner for his family. She had bought gifts for everyone. She had spent hours preparing his mother's favorite dessert. And the whole time, they thought she was his estranged wife who was taking a break from their marriage. "Emma," Naomi said carefully, "I need to ask you something. Did Alexander tell you we were getting divorced?" "Well, not divorced yet. But he said you guys were heading in that direction. He seemed really sad about it at first, but then he met Rebecca and, well, you know how it is. Sometimes you meet someone and you just know." Naomi felt like she was drowning. "Right. Of course. I hope you don't mind me asking, but how are you doing with all this? Are you okay?" How was she doing? She was discovering that her entire life was a lie. She was learning that her husband had been systematically erasing her from his world while planning to divorce her. She was realizing that she had been living with a stranger who saw her as nothing more than an obstacle to overcome. "I'm fine," she said. "Just fine." "Good. I'm glad you're both handling this so maturely. And I hope you know that even though things didn't work out with Alex, you'll always be family to me. We'll always be family." Past tense. Like she was already gone. After Emma hung up, Naomi sat in the silence of her kitchen and let the full weight of her situation settle over her. Alexander hadn't just been having an affair. He had been systematically dismantling their marriage while making her believe everything was normal. He had been preparing his family for his new relationship while she planned their future together. She had been living in a marriage that existed only in her mind. But now she knew the truth. And she had evidence. Lots of evidence. Alexander thought he was clever. He thought he could manipulate her into being grateful for whatever scraps of attention he threw her way while he built a new life with someone else. He was wrong. Naomi opened her laptop and began typing a new document. At the top, she wrote, "Evidence of Alexander Johnson's deception and financial fraud." Then she began to list everything she had found. Every email, every photo, every bank transfer, every lie. She documented dates, amounts, and specific incidents. She included screenshots and printed copies of everything. By the time the sun rose, she had compiled a comprehensive case against the man she had married. The man who had promised to love and honor her while secretly planning her destruction. But she wasn't destroyed. She was angry. And anger, she was learning, was much more useful than heartbreak. Alexander wanted to play games? Fine. She would play games too. But he was about to discover that he had seriously underestimated his opponent. Naomi spent Sunday morning getting ready for a conversation that would change everything. She chose her outfit carefully, a sleek black dress that made her feel confident, her hair styled in a way that highlighted her natural beauty, and just enough makeup to look polished without appearing like she was trying too hard. She had found Rebecca's work address in one of Alexander's emails. The marketing firm was located in a gleaming downtown high-rise. According to Rebecca's social media, she often worked weekends to catch up on projects. Naomi parked across the street and waited. At 1:47 p.m., she saw Rebecca emerge from the building's lobby. She was even more beautiful in person, tall, graceful, with that radiant smile Naomi had seen in all the photos. She was wearing jeans and a cream-colored sweater, looking effortlessly elegant. "Rebecca?" Naomi called out as she approached. Rebecca turned, her green eyes curious. "Yes. I'm Naomi Johnson, Alexander's wife." The color drained from Rebecca's face. She stopped walking and stared at Naomi with a mixture of confusion and growing horror. His wife? Rebecca's voice was barely a whisper. Yes, his wife of 3 years. The one he forgot to mention. Rebecca's legs seemed to give out. She sank onto a nearby bench, her hands covering her face. "Oh my God. Oh my God, this can't be happening." Naomi sat down beside her, surprised by the genuine distress in Rebecca's reaction. "You really didn't know?" "No. Of course I didn't know." Rebecca's voice was sharp with pain. "He told me he was divorced. He said it was finalized 2 years ago. He said his ex-wife lived in another state and they had no contact." "Did he show you divorce papers?" No. I mean, I didn't ask. Why would I ask? People don't usually lie about being divorced." Rebecca looked up at Naomi with red-rimmed eyes. "He's really still married to you?" "Very much so. We live together. We share a bank account. We were supposed to go to couples therapy next month to work on our communication issues." Naomi's voice was steady, but inside she was noting how genuinely shocked Rebecca seemed. "He told me he was at a work conference this weekend." Rebecca laughed bitterly. "A work conference? He was at his sister's engagement party. With me. I met his entire family. His mother hugged me and said she was so happy Alex had found someone who made him smile again." "What exactly did he tell you about his marriage?" Rebecca wiped her eyes and looked at Naomi directly. "He said he got married too young to someone who didn't understand him. He said it was a mistake and that they realized they were incompatible after a year. He said the divorce was amicable and that he learned a lot about what he actually wanted in a partner." "And what did he say he wanted?" "Someone successful. Someone who fit into his professional world. Someone who understood his ambitions." Rebecca's voice grew smaller. "Someone who looked good at company events." Naomi felt a familiar stab of pain. "Did he tell you why his marriage failed?" "He said." Rebecca hesitated. "He said his wife was too needy. That she wanted him to be someone he wasn't. That she didn't support his career goals and got jealous when he worked late or traveled for business." "I see. But listening to myself say it now, it sounds horrible. Like he was painting her as some kind of..." Rebecca stopped and looked at Naomi with new understanding. "Oh my God. He was talking about you. And none of it was true, was it?" "I work 60 hours a week to support his graduate school applications. I encouraged him to take the job at your company even though it meant less time together. I've never complained about his work schedule because I thought he was building our future." Rebecca put her head in her hands. "I'm going to be sick." "How long have you been seeing him?" 6 months. But we've been friends for over a year. It started out as just work friendship, you know? We'd grab coffee and talk about projects. Then we started having lunch together. Then drinks after work." Rebecca looked up at Naomi. I swear I had no idea he was married. I would never. I'm not that kind of person. What kind of person are you? The question seemed to surprise Rebecca. I'm someone who believes in honesty, in doing the right thing. I've been divorced myself and I know how much it hurts when someone breaks their promises. I would never knowingly be with a married man. Tell me about your divorce. My husband cheated on me. For 2 years. With multiple women. When I found out, it destroyed me. I thought I'd never trust anyone again. Rebecca's voice cracked. And now I'm the other woman in someone else's story. I'm the person I used to hate. You're not the person you used to hate, Naomi said firmly. You're another one of his victims. But I should have known. There were signs, weren't there? Times when he was unavailable. When he couldn't stay the night. When he was vague about his living situation. What did he tell you about where he lived? He said he was renting a temporary place while he looked for something permanent. He said he didn't want me to see it because it was too depressing. Rebecca laughed bitterly. I thought he was just being considerate. I thought he wanted to wait until he found a nice place to have me over. He never stayed at your apartment? Sometimes, but not often. He said he had trouble sleeping in new places. He said he was an insomniac and didn't want to keep me awake. Naomi shook her head. He sleeps like a baby. Always has. Everything was a lie. Every single thing. Rebecca stood up and started pacing. The late-night phone calls he had to take outside. The weekends he was suddenly busy. The way he always paid for everything in cash so there wouldn't be credit card records. He paid for your dates in cash? He said he was trying to stick to a budget. That he was saving for a house. Rebecca stopped pacing and stared at Naomi. Was he saving for a house? He was moving our savings into a personal account. I just found out yesterday. So he was planning to divorce you and marry me? It looks that way. Rebecca sat back down heavily. I feel like such a fool. I actually thought I was in love with him. I thought he was this amazing man who had overcome a difficult marriage and was ready to build something real with me. What was he like with you? Attentive. Romantic. He remembered little things about what I liked. He brought me flowers. He planned thoughtful dates. He made me feel special. Rebecca paused. What was he like with you? Lately? Distant. Distracted. He stopped planning dates. He forgot our anniversary. He started working late constantly and seemed annoyed when I asked about his day. Naomi felt the familiar ache of rejection. I thought we were going through a rough patch. I thought maybe if I tried harder, if I was more understanding, things would get better. He was giving you the minimum while giving me his best. It seems that way. They sat in silence for a moment, both processing the enormity of Alexander's deception. Can I ask you something? Rebecca said finally. Of course. Are you going to fight for him? Try to win him back? Naomi looked at Rebecca, really looked at her. She saw a woman who had been lied to just as thoroughly as she had been. A woman who had opened her heart to someone who had manipulated her feelings for his own benefit. No, Naomi said firmly. I don't want him back. I want justice. Justice? He destroyed our marriage while making me believe I was the problem. He stole money from our joint account. He introduced you to his family as his girlfriend while I was home cooking dinner and doing his laundry. He made both of us believe we were crazy for questioning his behavior. Rebecca nodded slowly. He did do that. Whenever I asked about his past or his living situation, he'd make me feel like I was being paranoid or pushy. He's been playing us against each other without either of us knowing the other existed. What do you want to do about it? Naomi looked at Rebecca and saw something she hadn't expected. An ally. I want to make sure he faces consequences for what he's done. Real consequences. What did you have in mind? I'm still figuring that out. But I could use help from someone who knows his professional world. Someone who understands how his mind works. Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. You want us to work together? I want us to make sure Alexander learns that actions have consequences. That he can't manipulate people's lives without paying a price. I could get fired. If this gets messy at work. He's the one who brought his personal drama into the workplace. He's the one who lied to both of us. He's the one who should face professional consequences. Rebecca stood up and extended her hand to Naomi. I'm in. As they shook hands, Naomi felt something shift inside her. For the first time since discovering Alexander's betrayal, she didn't feel alone. She had an ally who understood exactly what they were up against. Alexander thought he was clever. He thought he could manipulate two intelligent women without consequences. He was about to learn how wrong he was. By Tuesday evening, Naomi had a plan. She and Rebecca had spent Monday exchanging information and evidence, building a comprehensive picture of Alexander's deception. Now it was time to learn exactly how deep the lies went. Naomi drove to Alexander's parents' house in the suburbs. Harold and Patricia Johnson lived in a comfortable two-story colonial where Alexander had grown up. She had been coming to this house for family dinners, holidays, and celebrations for 3 years. Tonight she was coming to uncover the truth. Patricia opened the door with a surprised smile. "Naomi, what a lovely surprise. Come in, come in." "Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. I hope I'm not interrupting anything." "Not at all. Harold's watching the game and I was just finishing up in the kitchen. Would you like some tea?" "That would be nice." As Patricia bustled around the kitchen, Naomi studied the woman who had welcomed her into the family. Patricia was a kind, soft-spoken woman who had always made Naomi feel loved and accepted. The idea that she knew about Alexander's affair and had chosen to welcome Rebecca instead made Naomi's chest tighten. "So what brings you by, dear? Alexander didn't mention you were coming." "Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Alexander and I are having some problems, and I was hoping you might help me understand what's going on." Patricia's face grew concerned. "Problems? What kind of problems?" "Well, for starters, he told me he was at a work conference this weekend. But I saw photos of him at Emma's engagement party." Patricia's teacup froze halfway to her lips. Oh my. "Mrs. Johnson, I need you to be honest with me. What did Alexander tell you about our marriage?" Patricia set down her cup with shaking hands. "Naomi, this is very difficult. Please. I need to know the truth. He told us you were separated. He said you had both decided to take some time apart to figure out what you wanted." "When did he tell you this?" "Around Christmas. He said you were going through a rough patch and had decided to live separately for a while." Naomi felt the familiar stab of betrayal. "Mrs. Johnson, I hosted Christmas dinner for your family. I made your mother's apple pie recipe. I bought presents for everyone." Patricia's face went pale. "I remember. But Alex said, he said you were trying to keep up appearances. That you didn't want the family to know about your problems. And you believed that?" "I thought it was strange, but Alex explained that you were both very private people. He said you were embarrassed about having marital problems and wanted to pretend everything was fine until you figured things out." "What else did he tell you?" Patricia looked down at her hands. "He said you had grown apart. That you wanted different things in life. He said you were focused on your career and didn't want the same kind of future he did." "What kind of future?" "Children. A real family. He said you had decided you didn't want kids and that it was a deal breaker for him." Naomi's mouth fell open. "Mrs. Johnson, we've been trying to have a baby for 6 months. We were planning to start fertility treatments next month." "What?" "I want children more than anything. We've talked about it constantly. We picked out names. We started looking at houses with better school districts." Patricia stared at her in horror. "But he said you told him you never wanted to be a mother. That you thought children would interfere with your career." "That's not true. None of that is true." "Then why would he?" Patricia trailed off, understanding dawning in her eyes. "Because he needed a reason to justify leaving me. He needed to make you believe that I was the problem so you wouldn't question his behavior." "Rebecca," Patricia whispered. "You know about Rebecca?" "He brought her to Emma's party. He said she was his girlfriend. That they had been together for a few months." "Did he tell you they worked together?" "Yes. He said they met at the office and realized they had a lot in common. He seemed so happy with her." Patricia's voice was growing smaller. "Happier than I'd seen him in a long time." "What did you think of her?" "She's lovely. Smart, successful, beautiful. She fit right in with the family. Emma adored her immediately." Patricia paused. "But if you're not really separated?" "We're not separated. We live together. We share a bank account. We were supposed to go to couples therapy next week." Patricia put her head in her hands. "Oh, Naomi. I'm so sorry. We had no idea." "What exactly did Alexander tell you about our living situation?" "He said you were staying in the house until you could figure out the financial details. He said it was temporary, just until you found your own place." "He never mentioned divorce?" "Not directly. But he implied it was heading in that direction. He said he was consulting with a lawyer about the best way to handle things." Naomi felt sick. "Did he ask you not to contact me?" "He said it would be better if we gave you space. That you were going through a difficult time and didn't want to talk to his family until you had processed everything. So you all just stopped talking to me? We thought we were respecting your wishes." Alex said you felt awkward around us because of the separation. Mrs. Johnson, I've been wondering why you stopped responding to my texts. I thought you were angry with me about something. Patricia started crying. Oh honey, I'm so sorry. We thought we were doing the right thing. Alex said you needed time and space. What about the money? Naomi asked gently. What money? Alexander has been transferring money from our joint account into a personal account. Almost $30,000 over the past year. Patricia looked confused. I don't understand. Why would he do that? Did he tell you he was having financial problems? That he needed help with anything? No. If anything, he seemed to be doing better financially. He started taking Rebecca to expensive restaurants. He bought her jewelry. He even talked about looking at condos in the nice part of town. He was spending our money on her while telling me we needed to be careful with expenses. Patricia's face crumpled. What kind of man did I raise? Mrs. Johnson, I need to ask you something important. Did Alexander ever mention anything about his work situation? Any problems at the office? No. He seemed to love his job. He was always talking about projects he was working on with Rebecca. Did he ever mention any issues with his boss or colleagues? Actually, now that I think about it, he did mention something about a promotion. He said his boss was considering him for a senior position, but that it would require someone with a stable personal life. Naomi felt the pieces clicking together. When did he mention this? Maybe 4 months ago? He seemed stressed about it. He said the company was very conservative and liked their executives to be settled down with the right kind of partner. The right kind of partner? Patricia flushed. I'm sorry, dear. I'm just repeating what he said. I didn't agree with it. What exactly did he say? He said the company preferred their senior staff to be with partners who understood the business world. People who could handle client dinners and company events professionally. And he didn't think I could handle those things? I don't know what he thought. But he did say that Rebecca was perfect for that kind of role because she worked in marketing and understood corporate culture. Naomi felt a cold rage building in her chest. Alexander hadn't just been having an affair. He had been systematically replacing her with someone he thought would be more beneficial to his career. Mrs. Johnson, I need to show you something. Naomi pulled out her phone and showed Patricia some of the emails she had found. As Patricia read, her face went through a series of emotions: shock, disgust, and finally anger. He called your marriage a trap, Patricia said quietly. Yes. He said you were holding him back from his potential. Yes. And he was planning to divorce you without even telling you he was unhappy. It seems that way. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up at Naomi with fire in her eyes. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to make sure he faces consequences for what he's done. But I need to know something first. Are you going to support him through this, or are you going to support what's right? Naomi, I raised that boy to be honest and faithful. I taught him to treat women with respect and keep his promises. What he's done to you is unforgivable. Even if it means Rebecca gets hurt too? Rebecca is a victim in this just like you are. She didn't know he was married. She didn't know she was being used to destroy another woman's marriage. So you'll help me? What do you need me to do? Naomi pulled out a small recording device. I need you to call Alexander and ask him about his plans. Don't mention that I was here. Just tell him you're concerned about his relationship with Rebecca moving so fast, and you want to make sure he's handling his divorce properly. You want me to record him? I want you to get him to admit what he's been doing. On record. Patricia stared at the device. This feels like something from a movie. Mrs. Johnson, your son has been lying to everyone in his life. He's been stealing money from our joint account. He's been planning to divorce me without my knowledge while making me believe we were working on our problems. He's been manipulating his family and his girlfriend to get what he wants. You're right. He needs to face consequences. Will you help me? Patricia picked up the recording device with determined hands. Tell me exactly what you need me to say. 20 minutes later, Naomi sat in her car outside the Johnson house, listening to the recording Patricia had just made. Alexander's voice was clear and confident as he admitted everything to his mother. Mom, I know it seems fast, but Rebecca is perfect for me. She's everything I need in a wife. She's successful, she's beautiful, and she fits into my professional world perfectly. But what about Naomi? Are you sure you're handling the divorce correctly? Don't worry about Naomi. She doesn't even know I'm planning to file yet. My lawyer says it's better to get all my ducks in a row first. I've been moving money into my personal account so she can't take everything when I serve her papers. Alexander, that doesn't sound legal. It's not illegal, Mom. is just smart. I earned that money, and I'm not going to let her take half of everything I've worked for just because we made a mistake getting married. A mistake. Come on, Mom. You know we were never right for each other. I was too young when I married her. I didn't know what I really wanted. And what do you really want? I want a partner who enhances my life instead of limiting it. Someone who can help my career instead of holding it back. Rebecca gets invited to client events. She knows how to network. She makes me look good. And Naomi doesn't? She's a nice person. But she's not executive wife material. She doesn't have the right background or the right connections. She's not sophisticated enough for the life I want to build. So you're just going to divorce her without even trying to work things out? Why would I work things out? I found someone better. Someone who actually fits into my life. When are you going to tell her? Next week. I'm going to sit her down and explain that we want different things. I'll make it seem like a mutual decision. She's so trusting she'll probably believe that we both realized we made a mistake. And then what? Then I'll move in with Rebecca. We're already looking at condos together. I'm going to propose to her next month. Next month? Alexander, you're still married. Not for long. My lawyer says we can fast-track the divorce if it's uncontested. Naomi won't fight it. She's not the type. How can you be so sure? Because I know her. She's too nice, too accommodating. She'll probably thank me for being honest with her about what I want. Naomi turned off the recording and sat in stunned silence. Even knowing what Alexander was capable of, hearing him dismiss their marriage so callously was devastating. But it was also exactly what she needed. She had evidence of his financial fraud, proof of his affair, and now a recording of him admitting to planning their divorce without her knowledge. She had everything she needed to destroy him. And she was going to use every single piece of it. Alexander thought she was too nice and accommodating to fight back. He thought he could manipulate her into accepting whatever scraps he decided to throw her way. He was about to learn that he had completely misjudged the woman he married. Wednesday morning, Naomi and Rebecca met at a coffee shop downtown. Rebecca looked tired and stressed, her usually perfect appearance slightly disheveled. I barely slept last night, Rebecca said, sliding into the booth across from Naomi. I kept thinking about everything he told me. Every lie, every manipulation. I feel like I don't know who I am anymore. I know the feeling, Naomi said. But we're going to use that anger constructively. I brought the files you asked for. Rebecca pushed a folder across the table. Every email, every text, every document I could find. Including some things you might not have seen. Naomi opened the folder and felt her stomach drop. The first document was a detailed financial plan titled, Post-Divorce Investment Strategy. Alexander had been planning his financial future without her, down to the exact amount he planned to keep from their joint assets. He calculated everything, Rebecca said quietly. How much he could take from your joint account without triggering any legal issues. How much he'd save on taxes by filing as single. Even how much he'd spend on the divorce lawyer. When did you find this? It was in his desk at work. I went in early this morning and looked through his files while he was in meetings. That was risky. I don't care. I need to know exactly what kind of person I was involved with. Rebecca pointed to another document. Look at this one. Naomi read the title, Career Advancement Timeline. It was a detailed plan for how Alexander intended to use his relationship with Rebecca to advance his career. He wrote down specific networking events he wanted to attend with me, Rebecca said. Client dinners where he thought I'd make a good impression. Company parties where he wanted to show me off to his boss. You were a career accessory. Apparently. And look at this part. Rebecca pointed to a section titled Long-Term Professional Benefits. He calculated how much more money he could make with a wife who worked in marketing versus one who worked in social services. Naomi's current job was in social services. She helped families in crisis access resources and support. It was meaningful work that she loved, but it wasn't high-paying or prestigious. He put a dollar amount on the difference between us, Naomi said flatly. $60,000 a year. That's how much more he estimated he could earn with me as his wife instead of you. Because you could help him network and I couldn't. Because I work in a field that would benefit his career and you work in a field that helps people. They sat in silence for a moment, both processing the cold calculation of Alexander's betrayal. There's more, Rebecca said finally. I found emails between him and his boss about the promotion. What kind of emails? His boss mentioned that the company prefers their senior executives to be married to partners who understand the business world. Alexander wrote back that he was working on resolving his personal situation and would have the right kind of partner soon. He was using you to get promoted. And he was planning to divorce you to clear the way for it. Naomi closed the folder and looked at Rebecca. How are you handling all this? I'm furious, but I'm also embarrassed. How did I not see what kind of person he was? Because he's a skilled manipulator. He told you exactly what you wanted to hear while telling me exactly what I wanted to hear. But the signs were there. The way he always had an excuse for why I couldn't come to his place. The way he was vague about his past. The way he always wanted to control where we went and what we did. He was managing two separate lives. That takes planning and skill. It takes being a sociopath. Rebecca pulled out her phone and showed Naomi a text thread. Look at this. These are messages he sent me yesterday while he was supposedly missing me and wanting to come home to you. The texts were romantic and loving. Alexander telling Rebecca how much he missed her, how perfect their weekend together had been, how excited he was to build a future with her. And these, Rebecca swiped to another thread, are messages he sent to someone else at the same time. Someone else. His lawyer. Talking about divorce strategies and asset protection. Naomi felt a chill run down her spine. He was texting his lawyer while texting both of us? Apparently multitasking is one of his strengths. What did the lawyer say? That Alexander should continue to act normal with you until all the financial arrangements were in place. That he should avoid any behavior that might make you suspicious or hostile. So the couple's therapy appointment was just part of the act. It looks that way. His lawyer advised him to suggest counseling to make it seem like he was trying to save the marriage. Naomi felt sick. He was planning to sit in therapy sessions and lie to a professional counselor about wanting to work on our relationship. While secretly planning to divorce you the whole time. And you had no idea about any of this? None. I thought he was this amazing man who had overcome a difficult divorce and was ready to build something real with me. I thought I was lucky to have found him. We both thought we were lucky. Rebecca leaned forward. Naomi, I need to ask you something. Are you sure you don't want to try to save your marriage? Maybe if you confronted him with all this evidence. No. Naomi's voice was firm. I don't want to save my marriage to someone who thinks so little of me that he calculated the dollar value of replacing me. Good. Because I have a plan. What kind of plan? The kind that ensures Alexander faces real consequences for what he's done. Rebecca pulled out a notebook and opened it to a page covered in detailed notes. I've been thinking about this all night. Alexander has 3 things he cares about most: his career, his reputation, and his financial security. Okay. So we're going to systematically destroy all 3. How? First, his career. I'm going to report him to HR for having an inappropriate relationship with a married colleague. I'm going to provide evidence that he lied about his marital status and used company resources to conduct his affair. Will that be enough to get him fired? Maybe not fired, but definitely passed over for the promotion. And it will create a permanent record of his unprofessional behavior. What about his reputation? That's where you come in. You're going to expose him to his family and friends. Show them exactly what kind of person he is. And his financial security? You're going to take him for everything he's worth in the divorce. Every penny he tried to hide, every asset he tried to protect. You're going to make sure he pays for what he's done. Naomi looked at Rebecca's detailed notes. This is very thorough. I'm a marketing director. I know how to plan campaigns that destroy reputations. And you're willing to risk your own career for this? He lied to me for 6 months. He made me unknowingly participate in destroying another woman's marriage. He turned me into the kind of person I used to hate. Rebecca's voice was steel. He's going to pay for that. What if he tries to retaliate? Against both of us? He'd have to admit what he did first. And once everyone knows the truth, he'll have no credibility left. What do you need from me? I need you to be brave. I need you to stand up to him when he tries to manipulate you. I need you to fight for what's yours. And what do you need for yourself? I need to know that I did the right thing. That I helped get justice for both of us. Naomi studied Rebecca's face. Are you sure you want to do this? Once we start, there's no going back. I'm sure. Alexander thinks he can manipulate people's lives without consequences. He thinks he can lie and cheat and steal and get away with it because his victims are too nice or too trusting to fight back. And we're going to prove him wrong. We're going to destroy him. Rebecca extended her hand across the table. Partners? Partners. As they shook hands, Naomi felt a sense of purpose she hadn't experienced in years. Alexander had underestimated both of them. He had assumed they would be too hurt, too embarrassed, or too weak to fight back. He was about to learn that hell hath no fury like two women scorned. Thursday evening, Naomi was waiting in the living room when Alexander came home from work. She had spent the day preparing for this moment, going over every piece of evidence, every lie, every betrayal. She was ready. "Hey baby," Alexander said, dropping his briefcase by the door and loosening his tie. "Sorry I'm late. Crazy day at the office." "I'm sure it was," Naomi said calmly. "How was your work conference this weekend?" "Oh, boring presentations, bad hotel food. The usual." He walked over and kissed her cheek. "I missed you though. Hated being away." "Did you?" Something in her tone made him pause. "Of course I did. Why would you ask that?" "Because I know you weren't at a work conference, Alexander. You were at your sister's engagement party." Alexander's face went very still. "What?" "Emma's engagement party. The one you attended with your girlfriend Rebecca." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sit down, Alexander." "Naomi, I think you're confused about something." "Sit down. Now." Something in her voice made him comply. He sat on the couch across from her, his hands clasped tightly together. "I know about Rebecca," Naomi said quietly. "I know about the affair. I know about the money you've been moving out of our joint account. I know about your plans to divorce me without telling me." "Naomi, I can explain." "Explain what?" "Explain how you've been living a double life for 6 months? Explain how you told your family we were separated while I was making dinner reservations for our anniversary? Explain how you've been planning to divorce me while making me believe we were working on our marriage." Alexander's face had gone pale. How did I find out? Does it matter? What matters is that I know everything." "Naomi, it's not what you think." "It's not what I think? Then what is it, Alexander?" "Because I have emails. I have photos. I have bank records. I have a recording of you telling your mother that I'm not executive wife material, and that you're planning to divorce me next week." Alexander's mouth fell open. "You talked to my mother?" "I talked to a lot of people. Including Rebecca." "You talked to Rebecca?" Alexander stood up quickly. "What did you tell her?" "I told her the truth. That you're married. That you lied to her about being divorced. That you've been using her to advance your career while planning to leave your wife." "You had no right." "I had no right? I had no right to tell another woman that the man she's dating is married to me? You don't understand the situation." "Then explain it to me, Alexander. Explain how you've been telling Rebecca you love her while lying to me about working late. Explain how you've been planning our divorce while making me believe we were going to start a family. Explain how you've been stealing money from our joint account while telling me we need to be careful with expenses." Alexander ran his hands through his hair, his composed facade finally cracking. "Naomi, I didn't plan for this to happen." "You didn't plan for it to happen? You wrote a detailed financial plan for your post-divorce life. You calculated how much money you could take from our joint account without triggering legal issues. You planned exactly how you were going to manipulate me into accepting the divorce. I was trying to protect you." "Protect me? From what?" "From a messy divorce. From a public fight. I was trying to end things cleanly. By lying to me about everything? By making it easier for both of us." Naomi stared at him in disbelief. "Easier for both of us? Alexander, you were planning to divorce me without telling me you were unhappy. You were going to let me believe we were working on our marriage while secretly planning to leave me for another woman. I didn't know how to tell you. You didn't know how to tell me? How about the truth? How about sitting me down and saying, 'Naomi, I'm not happy in our marriage and I want a divorce'? I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me? Do you have any idea how much it hurts to discover that your entire life is a lie? Do you know what it's like to find out that your husband has been systematically erasing you from his life while planning your replacement? It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. You told your family we were separated. You changed your relationship status on social media. You introduced another woman to your colleagues as your girlfriend. You were living a completely separate life while coming home to me every night and pretending to be my husband." Alexander slumped back onto the couch, his head in his hands. "I made mistakes." "Mistakes?" "Alexander, you've been committing fraud. You've been moving marital assets into personal accounts. You've been lying to everyone in your life for months. I can fix this." "Fix this? How exactly are you going to fix this?" "I'll end things with Rebecca. We'll go to counseling. We'll work through this together." "You think I want to work through this with you?" We're married, Naomi. We made vows to each other. Vows that you've been breaking for 6 months. I know I screwed up, but we can get past this. We can rebuild our marriage. Our marriage is over, Alexander. Don't say that. We can fix this. I'll do whatever it takes. What it would take is for you to be a different person. A person who doesn't lie to his wife. A person who doesn't manipulate women's feelings for his own benefit. A person who doesn't plan to destroy his marriage while pretending to work on it. I am that person. I got confused. I made bad choices. You made calculated choices. You planned every aspect of your betrayal. You're not confused, Alexander. You're selfish. That's not fair. Not fair. What's not fair is being married to someone who thinks so little of you that he calculates the financial benefit of replacing you. What's not fair is working extra hours to support your husband's career while he's planning to leave you for someone who can advance it better. I never meant for you to find out like this. You never meant for me to find out at all. You were planning to manipulate me into believing the divorce was a mutual decision. I was trying to protect your feelings. Stop lying to me, Alexander. Even now you're still lying. You weren't trying to protect my feelings. You were trying to protect yourself from having to face the consequences of your actions. What do you want from me, Naomi? I want you to pack your things and leave. Tonight. This is my house too. This is the house we bought together with money you've been secretly stealing from our joint account. This is the house where you've been living a lie for 6 months. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Go to Rebecca's apartment. Go to your parents' house. Go to a hotel. But you're not staying here. Naomi, please. Let's talk about this rationally. Rationally? You want to talk about this rationally? Fine. Rationally, you're a liar and a cheat who has been defrauding me for months. Rationally, you've been planning to destroy our marriage while making me believe we were working on it. Rationally, you're not the man I married, and I don't want to be married to the man you've become. I can change. I don't want you to change. I want you to leave. Alexander stared at her for a long moment, seeming to realize that his usual manipulation tactics weren't working. What about our marriage? What about everything we built together? You destroyed it. You chose Rebecca over me. You chose your career over our marriage. You chose your own selfish desires over the woman who loved you. I do love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of having a wife who supports your dreams while expecting nothing in return. You love having someone to take care of you while you pursue other women. You love having a safety net while you plan your real life with someone else. That's not true. It's completely true. And we both know it. Alexander stood up slowly, his face resigned. So what happens now? Now you pack your things and leave. Tomorrow you'll be hearing from my lawyer. Your lawyer? Did you think I was going to let you steal $30,000 from our joint account and walk away? Did you think I was going to let you commit fraud and face no consequences? Naomi, if you try to make this messy... I'm not making it messy, Alexander. You made it messy when you decided to live a double life. I'm just making sure you pay for what you've done. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is not seeing through your lies sooner. Alexander walked toward the bedroom, then turned back. This doesn't have to end badly for both of you. It's already ended badly. The only question now is whether you're going to face the consequences like a man or try to manipulate your way out of them like a coward. I'm not a coward. Then prove it. Take responsibility for what you've done. Admit that you lied and cheated and stole. Stop trying to make this my fault. Alexander stared at her for a long moment, then walked to the bedroom to pack his things. As Naomi listened to him moving around upstairs, she felt something she hadn't expected: relief. For the first time in months, she wasn't questioning her own perceptions. She wasn't wondering if she was being too sensitive or too demanding. She was finally seeing Alexander clearly. And she was finally ready to fight for herself. Friday morning, Naomi woke up in her house alone for the first time in 3 years. Alexander had left the night before with 2 suitcases and his laptop, refusing to say where he was going. She had watched him drive away from their bedroom window, feeling a mixture of sadness and liberation. By 9 a.m., she was sitting in her lawyer's office with a folder full of evidence. "Mrs. Johnson," said Margaret Chin, the divorce attorney she had hired based on online reviews and recommendations. "I have to say, in 20 years of practice, I've rarely seen someone come in this prepared. I want to make sure he faces consequences for what he's done." "Oh, he will. Moving marital assets into personal accounts without spousal consent is a serious matter. The court will not look favorably on that behavior." "What about the affair?" While infidelity isn't grounds for additional financial compensation in this state, it does demonstrate a pattern of deception that the court will consider. Combined with the financial misconduct, you have a very strong case. How long will this take? That depends on whether he contests the divorce. If he's smart, he'll agree to our terms and try to minimize the damage. If he's not. Margaret smiled grimly. Well, we have enough evidence to make his life very difficult. Good. I'll file the papers this afternoon. By law, I have to serve him at his place of employment if we can't locate his current residence. He works at Morrison and Associates downtown. Perfect. Someone will be there Monday morning to serve him in front of his colleagues. After leaving the lawyer's office, Naomi drove to Rebecca's apartment. She had texted that morning asking if they could meet to coordinate their next steps. Rebecca answered the door looking tired but determined. How did it go with Alexander last night? He tried to manipulate me into taking him back. When that didn't work, he tried to threaten me. Threaten you how? He said I'd regret making things messy. That this didn't have to end badly for both of us. Classic intimidation tactics. Did it work? What do you think? Rebecca smiled. I think Alexander severely underestimated you. How are you doing? I'm angry. But I'm also relieved. I kept thinking there was something wrong with me for feeling like he was hiding things. Now I know I was right to be suspicious. What's your plan for work? I'm meeting with HR at 2 p.m. I have copies of all the emails, photos of us at company events, and evidence that he lied about his marital status. What do you think they'll do? At minimum, he'll lose the promotion he was expecting. At maximum, he'll be fired for conducting an inappropriate relationship with a married colleague and using company resources to facilitate it. And if he retaliates? He can't. I have too much evidence of his misconduct. If he tries to make trouble for me, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person he is. Speaking of which, I need to ask you something. What? Are you okay with me telling his family the truth? All of it? Rebecca was quiet for a moment. Will it hurt them? Probably. But they deserve to know what kind of person they've been defending. Do it. They need to know that they've been manipulated just like we were. And your family? Will this affect them? I already told my sister everything. She's furious on my behalf. She said she wants to meet you so she can apologize for what her ex-brother-in-law put you through. Ex-brother-in-law? As far as my family is concerned, I was never really with Alexander. I was with a fictional character he created to manipulate me. At 3 p.m., Naomi was sitting in Patricia Johnson's living room again, this time with Harold present. Alexander's parents looked older than they had just 2 days ago, the stress of their son's deception weighing heavily on them. We can't believe he lied to us, Patricia said, her voice shaky. We raised him to be honest and respectful. I know you did, Naomi said gently. This isn't a reflection on how you raised him. This is about choices he made as an adult. But how could we not see it? Harold asked. How could we not realize what he was doing? Because he's skilled at manipulation. He told everyone exactly what they wanted to hear. What can we do to help? Patricia asked. I need you to know that I'm filing for divorce. And I'm going to make sure he faces consequences for what he's done. Good, Harold said firmly. He needs to learn that actions have consequences. Are you sure you want to support me through this? It's going to get messy. You're our daughter-in-law, Patricia said. That doesn't change just because our son forgot his commitments. What about Emma? What about the rest of the family? We'll handle Emma, Harold said. She needs to know the truth about what her brother did. And Rebecca? What about her? She's a victim in this too. She didn't know Alexander was married. Patricia sighed. I feel terrible about that. She seems like a lovely woman. She didn't deserve to be used like that. None of us did. Will you keep us updated on the legal proceedings? Harold asked. Of course. And I want you to know that even after the divorce is final, you'll still be family to me. If you want to be. Patricia started crying. Of course we want to be. You're the best thing that ever happened to our son, and he was too stupid to see it. I'm going to fight for what's mine, Naomi said. I'm going to make sure he pays for what he's done. Good, Harold said. We'll support you every step of the way. Sunday evening, Naomi was putting the finishing touches on a comprehensive email. She had spent the weekend compiling evidence, writing explanations, and preparing to expose Alexander's deception to everyone who mattered in his life. The email was addressed to Alexander's extended family, his close friends, and his professional network. She had found their contact information through social media and his personal address book. The subject line read, "The truth about Alexander Johnson." The email began, "I'm writing to inform you about some recent developments in my marriage to Alexander Johnson. As many of you know, Alexander and I have been married for 3 years. What you may not know is that for the past 6 months, Alexander has been living a double life." She went on to detail his affair with Rebecca, his lies about their separation, his financial misconduct, and his plans to divorce her without her knowledge. She included relevant evidence, screenshots of emails, bank records, and the recording of Alexander's conversation with his mother. "I'm not writing this to hurt Alexander," she continued. "I'm writing this because I believe people deserve to know the truth about someone they care about. Alexander has been lying to everyone in his life, and those lies have had real consequences for real people." She ended the email with, "I wanted you to hear this from me before Alexander tries to control the narrative with more lies. Thank you for your friendship and support over the years. I hope you'll continue to remember me fondly even as my marriage to Alexander comes to an end." Before sending the email, Naomi read it one more time. It was factual, documented, and devastating. It would destroy Alexander's reputation with everyone who mattered to him. She hesitated for just a moment, thinking about the man she had married. The man who had once made her laugh, who had promised to love her forever, who had held her when she cried and celebrated with her when she succeeded. But that man was gone. Maybe he had never existed at all. She pressed send. Within an hour, her phone was ringing. Alexander's cousin called first, then his college roommate, then his aunt. They all wanted to know if the email was true, if Alexander had really done what she described. "I'm so sorry," each caller said. "We had no idea." "None of us did," Naomi replied each time. "That's what made him so effective." By Monday morning, the email had been forwarded throughout Alexander's social and professional networks. His reputation was in ruins and everyone knew exactly what kind of person he was. Naomi felt no satisfaction in his destruction. Only a sense of justice finally being served. Alexander had chosen to destroy their marriage through lies and deception. Now he was facing the consequences of those choices. And this was only the beginning. Monday morning at 10:15 a.m., Alexander was served with divorce papers in front of his entire office. According to Rebecca, who texted Naomi immediately afterward, he turned pale and asked to speak to the process server privately. "Too late for privacy," Rebecca had written. Everyone saw it. Everyone knows. By lunch, Rebecca had met with HR and presented her evidence of Alexander's misconduct. The meeting lasted 2 hours. "They're opening a full investigation," she told Naomi over the phone. "They're interviewing everyone who worked with us, reviewing company emails, and looking into whether he used company resources for personal business." "What about your job?" "I'm protected. I was the victim of his deception." "But Alexander..." Rebecca paused. "Let's just say he's going to have a very difficult week." "Good. Naomi, there's something else. I found out about the promotion he was expecting." "What about it?" "He didn't get it. The company gave it to someone else last Friday before any of this came out." "Why?" "Because his boss never trusted him." Apparently, Alexander had been making inconsistent statements about his personal life for months. The boss thought he was unstable. "So he destroyed our marriage for a promotion he wasn't going to get anyway." "Exactly. And now that everyone knows what he did, he'll never get promoted at that company. His career there is over." That afternoon, Naomi met with Margaret Chin to discuss Alexander's response to the divorce papers. "He's hired a lawyer," Margaret said. "David Morrison from Morrison and Associates." "His company?" "No, that's Morrison and Associates marketing firm. This is Morrison and Associates law firm." Common confusion. "What's his strategy?" "He's claiming that you're being vindictive and trying to destroy his life out of spite. He wants to negotiate a quick settlement to avoid a public trial." "What kind of settlement?" "He's offering to split your assets 50-50 and walk away." 50-50? He stole $30,000 from our joint account." "Exactly. I told his lawyer that was unacceptable. We're demanding full restitution of the stolen funds, plus damages for his deception." "What did they say?" "They said they'd get back to me." "But Naomi, I need to prepare you for the possibility that Alexander might try to fight dirty." "What do you mean?" "He might try to claim that you were an unfit wife, that you were neglectful or unstable, that the marriage failed because of your actions, not his." "He can try. I have 3 years of evidence that I was a devoted wife who supported his career and tried to make our marriage work." "I know. And we have evidence that he systematically lied to you while planning to leave you. But just be prepared for him to attack your character. I'm ready. Good. Because this is about to get very ugly. Margaret was right. By Wednesday, Alexander's lawyer had filed a countersuit claiming that Naomi had been emotionally abusive and had forced Alexander to seek comfort elsewhere. He's claiming that you were controlling and jealous, Margaret explained over the phone. That you isolated him from his friends and family. That you made unreasonable demands on his time and attention. That's insane. I encouraged him to spend time with his family. I never complained about his work schedule. I supported every decision he made. I know. And we have evidence to prove it. But he's trying to paint you as the villain in this story. What about the money he stole? He's claiming it was his right to protect his assets from your financial irresponsibility. Financial irresponsibility? I paid all our bills. I managed our budget. I worked extra hours to pay for his graduate school applications. We have records of all of that. Don't worry. His claims won't hold up in court. When do we go to court? Next month. But Naomi, I think he's going to try to settle before then. This countersuit is just posturing. He's trying to scare you into accepting less than you deserve. I'm not scared. Good. Because we're going to take him for everything he's worth. Thursday evening, Naomi was cooking dinner when her doorbell rang. She opened it to find Alexander standing on her doorstep, looking haggard and desperate. We need to talk, he said. We have nothing to talk about. Contact my lawyer. Naomi, please. Just 5 minutes. No. You're destroying my life. You destroyed your own life when you chose to lie and cheat and steal. I made mistakes, but this is too much. My family won't talk to me. My friends think I'm a monster. I might lose my job. Good. How can you say that? I'm still the man you married. I'm still the person you loved. No, you're not. The man I married was honest and faithful. The man I married respected me in our marriage. The man I married didn't calculate the financial benefit of replacing his wife. I can change. It's too late for that. What do you want from me? What will it take for you to stop this? I want you to face consequences for what you've done. Real consequences. I'll give you everything. The house, the savings, everything. Just stop trying to destroy me. I'm not trying to destroy you, Alexander. I'm trying to get justice. This isn't justice. This is revenge. Maybe. But you earned every bit of it. Please, Naomi. I'm begging you. I'll do anything. There's nothing you can do. You made your choice when you decided to replace me with Rebecca. Now you have to live with the consequences. I never wanted to replace you. Yes, you did. You wrote it down in your financial plan. You calculated exactly how much more successful you'd be with her instead of me. I was confused. I wasn't thinking clearly. You were thinking very clearly. You planned every detail of your betrayal. What if I tell everyone the truth? What if I admit what I did and apologize publicly? What truth? The truth that you're a liar and a cheat? Everyone already knows that. I could make it right. You can't make it right. You can only pay for what you've done wrong. Alexander stared at her for a long moment, then turned and walked away. As she watched him leave, Naomi felt a sense of finality. The man she had married was gone, and she was finally ready to let him go. The next morning, Margaret called with news. Alexander wants to settle, she said. He's dropping his countersuit and agreeing to our demands. All of them? All of them. Full restitution of the stolen funds plus damages. He keeps his retirement account, but everything else goes to you. What changed his mind? I think your email had more impact than we realized. His reputation is completely destroyed. He's facing a disciplinary hearing at work. His family has cut him off. He wants to minimize the damage. When can we finalize this? Next week. He's also agreed to a public apology. What kind of apology? A written statement acknowledging his misconduct and taking full responsibility for the failure of your marriage. Will he actually do it? He will if he wants to avoid a public trial where all the evidence gets presented in court. Then we have a deal. Naomi, I have to ask, are you satisfied with this outcome? I'm satisfied that he's facing consequences for his actions. I'm satisfied that he can't hurt me anymore. I'm satisfied that everyone knows what kind of person he is. And what about you? What's next for you? I'm going to rebuild my life. The right way this time. Good for you. You deserve happiness. I'm going to find it. On my own terms. As Naomi hung up the phone, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Freedom. She was free from Alexander's lies, free from his manipulation, free from the prison of a marriage that existed only in her imagination. She was finally free to be herself again. 6 months later, Naomi stood in front of the bathroom mirror in her new apartment, getting ready for her first day at a new job. She had left social services and taken a position at a nonprofit organization that helped women rebuild their lives after divorce. The work felt meaningful in a way her old job never had. Her reflection showed a woman transformed. Her hair was styled in a confident new cut that framed her face beautifully. She had lost weight, not from stress but from taking care of herself, eating better, exercising regularly, sleeping well. Her eyes held a spark that had been missing for years. The apartment was small but it was hers. She had decorated it with bright colors and personal touches that reflected her own taste, not compromises made to accommodate a husband's preferences. Every piece of furniture, every picture on the wall, every book on the shelves was there because she wanted it there. Her phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. "First day at the new job. You're going to be amazing. Coffee this weekend?" Naomi smiled as she typed back, "Absolutely. I want to hear about your promotion." Rebecca had been promoted to senior marketing director at a different company. She had left Morrison and Associates after Alexander was fired for misconduct. She was dating someone new now, a kind man who worked in education and had never been married. They were taking things slowly, both of them learning to trust again. Another text came in, this one from Patricia Johnson. "Thinking of you today. Know that Harold and I are proud of you." Alexander's parents had kept their promise to remain part of her life. They had dinner together once a month, and Patricia still called her for advice on recipes and gardening. They had made it clear that they considered her their daughter regardless of what their son had done. Emma had reached out too, sending a long email apologizing for her role in Alexander's deception. She had invited Naomi to her wedding, which was happening in the fall. Naomi had accepted, looking forward to celebrating with the family that had truly loved her. At work, Naomi's supervisor introduced her to her new colleagues and showed her to her office. It was small but had a window that looked out onto a tree-lined street. On her desk was a small potted plant from her new team and a card that read, "Welcome to the family." Family. The word had new meaning now. Family wasn't just blood relations or legal documents. Family was the people who chose to love and support you, who stood by you when things got difficult, who celebrated your successes and helped you through your failures. Alexander had never understood that. He had treated relationships like business transactions, calculating the benefit of each person in his life. He had thrown away a woman who loved him for a woman who could advance his career, not realizing that both relationships were doomed to fail because he was incapable of genuine connection. The last Naomi had heard, Alexander was working at a small firm in another state. His reputation in their city was so damaged that he couldn't find work anywhere reputable. He had lost his house, his savings, and his standing in the community. He was starting over at 35 with nothing but the consequences of his choices. Sometimes Naomi felt sorry for him. But mostly she felt grateful that she had discovered the truth before wasting more years of her life on a man who didn't deserve her. Her first client was a woman named Sarah who had discovered her husband's affair through credit card statements. Sarah was devastated, convinced that she was somehow to blame for her husband's betrayal. "I keep thinking about what I could have done differently," Sarah said through tears. "Maybe if I had been more attentive, more supportive, more..." "More what?" Naomi asked gently. "More like the woman he chose over me. Can I tell you something? I used to think the same thing. I thought if I had been prettier, more successful, more interesting, maybe my husband wouldn't have cheated. What changed your mind? I realized that his cheating had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with him. He was someone who was willing to lie and manipulate to get what he wanted. No amount of effort on my part could have changed that. But how do you know for sure? Because I met the other woman. She was everything I thought I should have been: beautiful, successful, sophisticated. And he lied to her too. He manipulated her just like he manipulated me." "He lied to her?" "He made her believe he was divorced. He used her to advance his career while planning to divorce me. She was just another tool in his scheme." "What happened to her?" "She helped me expose him. We worked together to make sure he faced consequences for what he did." "You worked with the other woman?" "I did. Because I realized she was another victim of his manipulation. She didn't know he was married. She thought she was dating an honest man who wanted to build a real relationship with her." "Weren't you angry with her?" "At first. But then I realized my anger belonged with him, not with her. He was the one who broke his vows. He was the one who lied to both of us." "What happened to him?" He lost his job, his reputation, his family's respect. He had to start over in a new city with nothing. Do you feel bad about that? Sometimes. But mostly I feel proud that I stood up for myself. That I didn't let him get away with what he did. How are you doing now? I'm better than I've ever been. I have a job I love, friends who support me, and a life that's completely mine. I'm not sharing it with someone who doesn't value it. Do you think I can get there too? I know you can. But you have to be willing to fight for yourself. You have to be willing to demand better. I don't know if I'm strong enough. You're stronger than you think. The fact that you're here, that you're seeking help, that you're willing to face the truth, that takes incredible strength. What if I can't do it alone? You're not alone. You have support here. You have people who believe in you and want to see you succeed. What's the first step? The first step is deciding that you deserve better than what you're getting. Everything else flows from that decision. As Sarah left the office with resources and a follow-up appointment, Naomi felt a sense of purpose she had never experienced before. She was using her own experience to help other women find their strength and reclaim their lives. That evening, she walked through her neighborhood, enjoying the spring air and the sense of possibility that came with new beginnings. She passed couples walking hand in hand, families playing in the park, friends laughing over dinner at outdoor restaurants. For the first time in years, she didn't feel lonely watching other people's happiness. She felt content with her own life, proud of what she had built, excited about what was to come. Her phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello? Naomi? It's Alexander. She stopped walking. What do you want? I wanted to apologize. Really apologize. For everything I did to you. It's too late for apologies. I know. But I needed to say it anyway. I've been in therapy, and I'm starting to understand how badly I hurt you. Good. I hope you've learned something. I have. I've learned that I was selfish and cruel. I've learned that I threw away the best thing in my life for something that was never real. Is that all? I wanted you to know that I know it's my fault. All of it. The failure of our marriage, the pain I caused you, the way I treated you. None of it was your fault. I already know that. I also wanted you to know that I'm genuinely happy for you. I heard about your new job, your new life. You deserve all the happiness in the world. Thank you. Do you think you'll ever be able to forgive me? I don't know. But I don't need to forgive you to be happy. I've moved on, Alexander. I suggest you do the same. I'm trying. Good luck. She hung up the phone and continued walking. Alexander's call hadn't upset her or brought back painful memories. It had simply reminded her of how far she had come. A year ago, she had been a woman living in a marriage that existed only in her imagination. She had been accommodating, trusting, and completely blind to the man her husband really was. Now she was a woman who knew her own worth, who demanded honesty from the people in her life, who wasn't afraid to fight for what she deserved. She was finally the woman she was meant to be. 1 year later, Naomi stood in the reception hall of the Grand City Hotel, wearing a stunning burgundy dress that hugged her curves perfectly. She was attending Emma's wedding as a guest of honor, having helped plan several aspects of the celebration. The bride had insisted that Naomi sit with the family, despite her divorce from Alexander. You're more family than he ever was, Emma had said firmly. You're the one who remembered everyone's birthdays, who brought homemade cookies to family dinners, who genuinely cared about all of us. The wedding was beautiful. Emma looked radiant in her flowing white gown, and her new husband clearly adored her. During the ceremony, Naomi had felt genuinely happy for the young couple, with no trace of the bitterness that might have been there a year ago. Alexander was not in attendance. He had been invited, but Emma had made it clear that his presence was conditional on his behavior. When he couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't cause drama, she had uninvited him. I love my brother, Emma had told her parents, but I love Naomi too. And she's the one who's been there for our family through everything. Now, as the reception wound down, Naomi was saying goodbye to the family members she had grown to love even more deeply over the past year. Patricia hugged her tightly. I'm so proud of the woman you've become, she said. You've shown us all what real strength looks like. Thank you for standing by me, Naomi replied. Your support meant everything. Are you happy? Harold asked, his eyes twinkling with genuine affection. I'm very happy. Happier than I've ever been. Good. You deserve it. As Naomi drove home that night, she reflected on the incredible year she had just lived through. Her new job had led to a promotion and recognition in her field. She had published an article about supporting women through divorce that had been widely shared and praised. She had spoken at conferences and workshops, sharing her story to help other women find their strength. Her apartment had become a gathering place for friends, the real friends who had supported her through the divorce, plus new friends she had made through work and community activities. She hosted dinner parties, book clubs, and movie nights. Her life was full of genuine connections and meaningful relationships. She had also started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but she was enjoying meeting new people and rediscovering what she actually wanted in a partner. The experience of being lied to and manipulated had taught her to trust her instincts and set clear boundaries. She was no longer the accommodating woman who ignored red flags in favor of giving people the benefit of the doubt. Rebecca had become one of her closest friends. They met for coffee every weekend, sharing updates on their lives and careers. Rebecca was now engaged to the teacher she had started dating, and she credited Naomi with helping her learn to trust again. "You showed me that it was possible to be strong and vulnerable at the same time," Rebecca had said recently. "You taught me that demanding honesty isn't the same as being difficult." "We taught each other," Naomi had replied. "We survived Alexander together." And they had. Not just survived but thrived. As for Alexander, he had continued to spiral downward. His attempt to start over in a new city had failed when his reputation followed him. He had been fired from 2 more jobs for various forms of misconduct. He had tried to reconcile with Rebecca, who had blocked his number and threatened to file a restraining order if he contacted her again. He had also tried to reconnect with his family, but they had made it clear that he was welcome only if he took full responsibility for his actions and made genuine amends. He had been unable to do either, instead continuing to blame others for his problems. The last Naomi had heard, he was working in retail and living in a studio apartment across the country. He had lost everything: his career, his reputation, his family's respect, and any chance of a meaningful relationship. He was exactly where his choices had led him. Naomi felt no satisfaction in his downfall. She had long ago stopped thinking about Alexander except when someone asked her about him. He was a chapter in her life that was closed, a lesson learned, a reminder of her own strength. Her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, the social worker she had been dating for the past few months. He was kind, honest, and genuinely interested in building something real with her. They were taking things slowly, both of them understanding the value of trust and communication. "How was the wedding?" he had texted. "Beautiful. Emma looked stunning. Family was wonderful as always. I'm glad you had a good time. Still on for dinner tomorrow?" "Absolutely. I'm cooking." "Lucky me. Can't wait to see you." Naomi smiled as she put her phone away. Marcus was nothing like Alexander. He was consistent, reliable, and transparent about his feelings and intentions. He supported her career and celebrated her successes. He made her laugh and challenged her to be her best self. Most importantly, he saw her. Really saw her. Not as an accessory to his life or a means to an end, but as a complete person worthy of love and respect. She wasn't ready to marry again yet. Maybe she never would be. But she was open to the possibility of building something real with someone who valued what she brought to the relationship. At home, she poured herself a glass of wine and sat on her balcony, looking out at the city lights. A year ago, she had been a woman discovering that her entire life was built on lies. Tonight, she was a woman who had rebuilt her life from the ground up, creating something authentic and meaningful. She had learned that she was capable of more than she had ever imagined. She was capable of standing up to manipulation, of demanding justice, of building a life on her own terms. She was capable of turning her pain into purpose and her experience into wisdom. Most importantly, she had learned that she didn't need a man to complete her. She was already complete on her own. If she chose to share her life with someone, it would be because she wanted to, not because she needed to. Her phone rang. The caller ID showed a number she didn't recognize. "Hello. Is this Naomi Johnson?" "Yes. My name is Linda Martinez. I got your number from the Women's Center. I'm going through a divorce and I was told you might be able to help me." "Of course. What's going on?" "I just found out my husband has been having an affair. He's been lying to me for months about where he's been going, what he's been doing. I feel like I don't know him at all." "I understand exactly how you feel. When can we meet?" "Would tomorrow be too soon?" "Tomorrow is perfect. I'll give you the address of my office." As Naomi hung up the phone, she felt the familiar sense of purpose that came with helping another woman find her strength. She had turned her painful experience into something meaningful, something that could help others avoid the mistakes she had made. She had won. Not because she had destroyed Alexander, but because she had refused to let him destroy her. She had taken control of her own story and written a new ending. The ending she deserved. As she got ready for bed, Naomi caught sight of herself in the mirror. The woman looking back at her was confident, successful, and genuinely happy. She had survived betrayal and manipulation and had emerged stronger than ever. She was proud of the woman she had become. She was proud of the life she had built. She was proud of the courage she had found to demand better. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new possibilities. But tonight, she was simply grateful for the journey that had brought her to this moment. Alexander had thought he could use her and discard her without consequences. He had thought she was too weak and accommodating to fight back. He had been wrong about everything. And she had been right to believe in herself. The woman in the mirror smiled back at her, and Naomi knew that whatever came next, she was ready for it. She was finally, completely, authentically herself. And that was the sweetest victory of all.
Thanks for watching!